This is my message to the youth, titled A Memory of the Generous Years. My Polish youth, the Nativity of the Lord, this is a permanent liturgical celebration that falls on December 25th. Christmas is preceded by a 3-week waiting period, exactly 4 Sundays called Advent. According to theologians, Christmas is the most important holiday in the entire liturgical year after Easter. It is a Christian holiday that was introduced to celebrate the mystery of Jesus' birth. Who really invented Christmas? In reality, the Christian celebration of Christmas was invented by the Romans as a way to appropriate and domesticate the noisy pagan holiday of Saturnalia, which itself was essentially a celebration of the lengthening of days after the winter solstice. The Slavs celebrated holidays related to the cycle of annual vegetation and fertility, and therefore both life and death. Spring and autumn, Dziady feast, the feast of Jarlo, Peron, Mokosz, Veles, Bountiful Gody, Maslenica, Jargody. For many of them it is difficult to determine the exact date today, and many of them did not have fixed dates. Christmas, well, it is not a religious holiday because Jesus was not born on December 25th. It was a pagan holiday before the church adopted it as the day of Jesus' birth. This allowed converts to keep the celebrations and continue to be Christian. Joachim, king of Judah, was in prison in Babylon for 37 years. The king of Babylon, evil Merodach, released Joachim, king of Judah, from prison. He released Joachim on the 25th day of the 12th month. That is, Joachim was released on December 25th. Christmas began to be celebrated by the Patriarch Jovenal, 418 to 458. Shortly thereafter, it was abolished in Jerusalem and then introduced in the 6th, 7th centuries. In Easter Christianity, the Armenian Church has preserved the Epiphany holiday as a celebration of the birth of Christ, the longest. The origin of Christmas Eve probably dates back to the Saturnalia celebrations in ancient Rome, where Christianity was developing. The oldest evidence of Christmas celebrations is a mention in the calendar of church holidays from 354. People are convinced that in way they experience the traditional Christmas Eve supper, that the entire year will pass in this way. That is why they try to make this day truly wonderful and warm. The tradition of 12 dishes comes from the belief that one should thank the gods for the entire year lived, i.e. for the 12th month. Pagan tradition said that eating on Christmas Eve was supposed to help the sun triumph over evil. The city of Bethlehem in Judea, located near Jerusalem, has always been considered the birthplace of Jesus. Joseph and Mary, who was 9 months pregnant at the time, traveled more than 175 kilometers from Nazareth to Bethlehem in Judea, Joseph's hometown, to participate in the Roman census. On Christmas Day, we commemorate the day when the Son of God came into the world in the cave as a human being, as vulnerable and dependent as we are at birth. Scholars believe that although Jesus knew Hebrew and Greek well, he spoke primarily his native language, Aramaic. According to the theologians, the incarnate Christ has not only a human body, but also a soul. Divinity and humanity in the Son of God create a unique reality, like fire penetrating iron. The Christ did not so much take on the form of a man, as he himself is the God-man. According to the writings apocryphal, she became an ordinary wife to her husband. She was to bear Joseph for son and daughter, Mary, who did not come into the world from an immaculate conception. According to a historian at the Pontifical Gregorian University, Jesus' mother was very happy in the marriage to Joseph. Jesus' two brothers, James and Jude, became leaders of the early church and each wrote a book of the New Testament. When Jesus was born, Mary was about 18 years old, and Joseph was several years older than her, but he was not an old man, although that is how he is depicted in paintings. In memory of Jesus' offering to God, the Catholic Church celebrates the feast of Our Lady of Candlemas. Many Christians honor Mary Magdalene for her ardent love for Jesus. Before Jesus was everything to her. There was a time when everyone thought Jesus was crazy, including his mother. Jesus' family did not believe him. One probably stems from the religious upbringing. They were so well grounded in the Torah. And then Jesus came along and made these claims that seemed to contradict their beliefs. For example, his claim to be Lord of the Sabbath, when the Sabbath was a very important matter to first century Jews. Jesus Christ is the good shepherd, who in gentleness, purity, and patience watches over and feeds his flock. The Pharisees accused him of being possessed, and his family thought he was crazy. What they really wanted was to take him away, maybe get him help, or hide him from the people for a while. As part of the conspiracy to kill Jesus Christ, the Jewish leaders brought him before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate sentenced Jesus to be flogged and crucified. Jesus agreed to suffer and die in order to fulfill the will of his Father. Jesus died on the cross, previously carrying a horizontal beam to Golgotha, from the Latin patibulum. Died from severe shock caused by the loss of a significant amount of blood, as well as from suffocation. Jesus is a first name, but Christ is not a last name. The word Jesus is the Greek transcription of the Hebrew name Yehoshua, Yoshua, which translates into English as Yahweh will save, or Yahweh is salvation. The name Christ is a translation of the Hebrew word for Messiah. It means anointed one. Jesus is the Christ because God anointed him with the Holy Spirit and with power. Acts chapter 10, 38. Pilate was not only a Christian, he was also a believer, even a martyr. The 5th century Greek text, the hanging of Pilate, depicts Tiberius ordering the beheading of a governor for allowing crucifixion. Due to pressure from the Jews and fear of losing control over the people, Pilate sentenced Jesus to crucifixion. See Matthew chapter 27, 11 to 26. My Polish youth, we live in a beloved country on the Vistula River. Here we will celebrate Christmas Eve. Poland, Lechia, before the Catholic name for Poland, has a very well-documented history by medieval chroniclers. Poland, Lechia, also appears in the Bible. It is at least 3,000 years old. In the last year of her life, Sister Faustina heard the words of Jesus in her interior voice. I have a special love for Poland, and if it will be obedient to my will, I will exalt it in power and holiness. From it will come a spark that will prepare the world for my final coming. Diary 1732. After 5 years of arduous work, I can welcome you here again. Contemporary mass media are charming. Terrible things have happened in Poland during this time. However, the struggle for power has already brought success. We look at the internet and notice 700 short films bearing our name. We count in this success our visits to Christian groups and communities around the world, in 80 countries of the globe, of which you will one day become heralds. This is our common movement, of which you are today the youthful guard, of which you are to take over position after position in this country one day. In this time of our human wealth, you have grown from a large youth organization to become the largest youth movement in the world. We know that nothing is a gift. Everything must be fought for, conquered. You should never keep anything of what you have learned to yourself, but you must pass it on to those who will come after us. When we are no longer here, we want to consider in ourselves know everything that we hope for in the Poland of tomorrow, and create today what we want to see from Poland in the future. You must stand strong. We want to be one nation. We do not want any class opposition. If you selflessly work for this nation in this way, this youth also wants to be selfless. We want this nation to become boundlessly faithful. You must learn this. We want this nation to become happier, in love with peace, courageous and brave. You must practice obedience, be peacefully ready, stand for this nation to be made of steel. You must embrace this concept of honorable hospitality from the earliest age. And everything that we demand from you, you must carry it into the future, practice it. You must hold the banner firmly. Then Poland and what we are creating today will live in you. You must stand firmly on the ground. Generation after generation passes on to be equally capable of sacrifice. We have the right to demand the same from future youth. Poland looks at you with pride, that our work will not be wasted, that those who fought in 3 world wars will be heard. We have to take up with what grows from their demands and dreams. I know that you are flesh of our flesh, blood of our blood. You are the most beloved opposition between man and God, together with the happiest of the nations of the world. Here, between the Oder and the Bug rivers, in a short time we can observe the most spectacular kaleidoscope of phenomena of our entire world. And in your young minds, the same spirit that is in us ignites and reigns. When we go into the new year, we hope that you will join us. After all, we know this too. Poland is ahead of us. Poland marches with us. Poland is behind us.